Hello, hello. I wanted to record a short video about factual fluency versus the feeling of fluency. I've been wanting to make more videos on YouTube recently and just haven't gotten around to it. So here we are today making a short video. Now, a lot of us, when we learn languages, we focus on what I like to call factual fluency. We try to factually, objectively, actually, logically, that's a good way to put it, logically become more fluent. We focus on the fact of being more fluent. And that takes many forms. So it could be learning more grammar, learning more tenses, memorizing more words. It could be something like speaking more fluently. When I talk to people, words come out in a more fluent fashion. And so we focus on the fact of fluency. But the reality is this: a lot of us, we don't realize that the feeling of fluency is actually what propels the fact of fluency. Is that making any sense? The feeling of being comfortable in the language, that's what actually propels us to be factually, objectively, actually more fluent. And I have a cool story that could demonstrate this. So at the Calgary Language Nerds, one of the things that I've been doing over the past couple of years is measuring student progress. So we measure it in objective, measurable terms. And then that way we can figure out what strategies were people using that were working. What did people do that actually helped them to improve? So there's a student right now who took an assessment about 2 months ago and then took a reassessment very, very recently. And her level is significantly higher. You can see that in the numbers, as in the measurable numbers of her overall fluency and all the different categories that we measure. But even just subjectively, when you talk to this person, if you were to talk to this person 2 months ago versus talking to the person today, if you were to do it today, you would think, wow, this person is so much better. You talked to her a couple months ago, you would think, oh my God, this person can't really talk all that well. Like, there's a night and day difference between this individual 2 months ago and this individual today. And she hasn't like done a 2-month intensive program. It wasn't like she objectively like studied all this stuff and remembered all this stuff and studied for 4. Like, no, actually it's been a relatively, what would you say, like a side project. It's been a hobby for her. But what's changed? What's changed is she feels more confident. What's changed is she feels more confident. She's more locked into her learning. She's less self-conscious. So what that means is, actually, factually, her brain remembers more stuff. She remembers the grammar rules instead of forgetting them. Her active recall of vocabulary is actually higher. And it looks to me anyway, from what I can tell, it's coming from the fact that she's feeling more fluent. When you feel more fluent, it actually boosts your factual fluency. Does that make sense? So when learning languages, it is about, of course, it's about learning more words and learning more grammar and practicing conversation and doing listening drills and watching videos and all the things that we do, listening comprehension and writing and reading and all the things that we all do. Of course, those things matter. 1,000%. But we also have to boost up the feeling of fluency, and that also matters. And we boost the feeling of fluency by creating space for that. We create space for it. We create space. So many of our language lives are full. We have our personal life, our work life, but we have our language life. And the language life is the amount of time that you dedicate in your life toward learning languages. And that could be 15 minutes every 3 days. It could be 15 minutes every day. It could be 4 hours every day. It's different for everybody. But we have a language life. And all of our language lives are full. And for most of us, our language lives are full of actual active study, whether it's grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, whatever it may be, but some form of active study. For many of us, we've not created the space. We've not created the space for the feeling of fluency to creep on in, to flow in, really. And just by creating the space for it, that's step one. Step one is creating the space for that feeling of fluency to come in. Once we have the space, then it's about picking our our study strategies, quote unquote, our study strategies. I use the word advisedly, right? It's about it's about putting the right strategies into our calendars. It's about spending our time on strategies that foster the feeling of fluency, that foster it. So, for example, me in Ukrainian, I have a separate Instagram account where I only follow Ukrainian content creators. Um, I might be I might be watching shows that I like, or maybe movies, or like I'll do things that are much more like feeling oriented, things that actually boost up my confidence overall. It could be something like I've been thinking about doing this. I haven't done it yet, but it could be something like just finding the local community and hanging out with them and trying to talk to them and doing something that's fun, right? And not something that feels a lot like school. Focusing on fun and enjoying ourselves using the language that we're trying to learn, and not just focusing on the study aspect, focusing on fun as well. So yeah, that's that. Focus on the feeling of fluency. Ooh, I like that. The focus on the feeling of fluency. I really like those all the F's, right? Like focus on the feeling of fluency as well. It's not just about factually being fluent, although that definitely matters, but it's also about the feeling of fluency too. Thanks for watching this, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. See you.